Hi everybody, I'm Bob Marone for Westchester Talk Radio, and once again we are with our friends at Hightower Westchester. And we're once again with Roman Ciosek, Managing Director and Partner at Hightower Westchester. Today we're talking about small businesses and the importance of establishing a valuation. Welcome, Roman.
Hey, Bob. Thank you. Nice to be here. Appreciate it.
Let's get right into it. Could you provide us with an overview of the small business market and how you look to create value for business owners?
Sure, absolutely. So within our practice, within Hightower Westchester, we focus on three business avenues. One is around family wealth. The other one is around charitable foundations and endowments. And the third part, which is more of my focal point, is working with small business owners. But before I kind of define it, I just want to explain a little bit more in detail as far as the different types of businesses, because there's always, I don't want to say a point of confusion, but a sort of a lack of understanding on some. The way we look at the market for business owners, right, there's three parts to it, or at least three different businesses. One is the public companies, right, companies that trade on the S&P or the Dow Jones. And if you look at that market, there are approximately 3,000 public companies that have clear valuations, right? You look at the market cap of the company and you could understand as to what that company may potentially be worth today. Then you have a secondary market, which is a private market, which is basically comprises of about 3,000 companies, okay? And these are private entities, private companies that do not trade on the exchange. Right? In our world, when we do financial planning, we are big proponents of using these strategies within an asset allocation overall portfolio. And if a client has a certain amount of assets that are qualified based upon their income and total net worth, we can utilize vehicles that have exposure to the private markets, private markets as far as companies. And there are about 300,000 of those different companies available currently. So when we kind of talk to clients, we tell them that, look, in the public markets, there's 3,000, but in the private market, there's 300,000. So when the majority of clients invest in the public markets, they literally have 10% of the overall market, right? When you look at a total market cap of all the stuff. So we try to incorporate the private piece of it. Then when you look at the small business market, which there are about 33 million companies in the United States. So when we're having this conversation, and that's 98% of the overall market, this is the stuff that we're talking about. It's about those small business owners, which there are about 33 million total.
You know, Roman, most small business owners are so caught up with the day-to-day running of the business, they don't really have time, and maybe they're not paying any attention to how important the overall business and its value is.
No, absolutely. And this is the part where we come in and we try to walk them through and have them have an understanding of what their business is worth, and hence the importance of them looking at valuing the business. Look, as a business owner, which I know you have been, and as are we here, and I like the point is understanding what the underlying asset is currently worth. The challenge that we see is the fact that people work on their business and they work in their business constantly, but they don't understand what the value of their business is. And for us, it's really trying to have them take a step back and say, okay, here's what my business is worth. And then when you look at your overall net worth picture, think of a pie chart just for a second. And then you have to ask yourself the question is how much is my business worth of my total net worth picture? And what we find is that majority of someone's total net worth, sometimes 3/4, if not more, is tied to their business, right? Once we say or point that out, that not only is your net worth tied to your business, but your cash flow is tied into it as well. It's a significant risk. And for us, it's trying to quantify that. When we look at all of their assets and we look at their liabilities, we try to have them understand, look, if their business fails, they potentially could go bankrupt. Right. And that for us is an eye opener. And knowing the fact that 98% of business owners have no idea as to what their business is worth, it certainly is a diversifying conversation for us to kind of have with the overall client and make sure they understand it. Because when we're putting together a financial plan, when you look at all their assets in context of their total net worth, and the value is an important part of their overall business and their total net worth as well. ultimately it's really aligning all their assets to build a roadmap, simultaneously assessing the risk as well.
You mentioned risk. How can a business owner think about risk within the context of the entire valuation and his or her business?
Yeah, the business owner's valuation can help and establish a basis to properly insure yourself and the overall business. Only with current estimates of your company's worth can you adequately insure against such things as death, disability, about property and casualty losses, and also key man risk as well, and if that's relevant. I mean, the sudden loss of an owner in a business is a significant headwind, and it's something that could completely distort or change the whole business dynamic. I mean, the one thing we always tell clients is, if there's two business owners, one person passes away, they have no buy-sell agreement, what's going to ultimately happen is their spouse is going to come in and figure or be part owner or try to help manage the business, and that's going to purely disrupt it. You need to have such things in place, such as a buy-sell agreement or some form of insurance policy in there to help at least mitigate some of that. And again, having a valuation will help you understand as to what the other partner's spouse needs to be paid out.
You know, clearly these are good points. And at the market and as it changes, it is always important to understand the current value and potential value. It's about maximizing the value, isn't it? But also, I'd like you to say a little more about the buy and sell agreement. How many people don't have them?
It's something when we deal with a lot with owners, and when we speak with them, they understand that it's important, but a lot of them don't execute on it for various different reasons. A, it could be a little bit expensive. B, they don't understand exactly as to how it works and the importance of it. And C is, they'll always come back and say, well, look, my partner is not in good health. I don't think he or she's insurable. So we're just not going to even go through that exercise. Right. Uh-huh. So to us, it's having them, and it's an educational process, and making them look through, here's an option, here's something to consider. So there are solutions around a lot of this. One can self-insure. So there are things one can do to, again, make sure that they kind of at least walk down that road.
Let's go back to maximizing the value of a business.
Okay.
How can we do that?
So for us, it's, if I'm a business owner, somebody comes to me such as an advisor, right? Our goal, right, is to ultimately maximize the value of your business, right? You've worked so many years to figure out to do this, and you want to make sure you know what the business is worth and how do you maximize it. So for us, it's kind of understanding the overall industry as to what they're in, and then having a form of a benchmark that they will look at their business and compare it to make sure that their value and their business is aligned with the overall industry. So knowing the relative value can help you better identify strategies to improve it. I mean, I'll give you an example. We were dealing with an HVAC company, and basically they were doing about $20 million in revenue, and their competitor was doing comparable, about the same amount, right? And one company sold for, let's just call it 50 million, whereas the other company valuation came in at 30 million. And they were comparable as far as top line. But we went in there, we helped them understand specifically as to their bottom line, the margins. How do we help them increase it? An incremental change, reducing some of their debt, help them increase the business model by a significant amount. So it's again going through the exercise, because I tell owners constantly, when you create a business, you always want to have the end in mind, right? Because something is going to happen that ultimately that business is going to be gone, meaning you either sell it, you die, you inherit it, or the business completely collapses. So, ultimately you want to plan for the worst when you're looking at this stuff, or the best potential scenario.
What are the options for evaluating a business? How do you go about doing it?
So there are various options in the marketplace. You could look on the internet, and it's a matter of as to what the purpose of the valuation is. In certain cases, a certified business valuation is needed, where one needs to adhere to the uniform standards for professional appraisal practice guidance. And in this particular case, you would use this, it's an official one, for sales negotiations, for mergers and acquisitions, and even for divorce settlements as well. I mean, this is an official certification, let's just call it that, and where it gives you a real business valuation. Also at Hightower, we have something that is part of the marketplace, but we utilize it as well. It's called Biz Equity. And what they do, it's an online business valuation. It's sort of in between between a full-blown certification and also sort of a back of the envelope, if you will, just to kind of keep it simple. But it gives you some real concrete numbers for a basis of evaluating certain things. And then also we have outside resources and that we can provide consultants that we deal with that can help in at least assessing their business as to what the value is.
How expensive is that process?
The question, I guess, is depending on the complexity of the business will ultimately determine whether it's the size, the complexity of the business will determine as far as how much that business evaluation will cost. I mean, the certified process will range somewhere around 50,000, if not more, and it could take 2, 3, 4 months, depending again on the complexity of it. However, in our view, when we look at this, it's something that is significantly well spent as far as the money is concerned, and we suggest to owners to do this, whether it's every year or every couple of years, just based upon market circumstances. And then, of course, if you're using the services, as I mentioned, Biz Equity, that's a lot less expensive, again, depending on the complexity, but it could be several thousands of dollars for something like that.
These are great takeaways. I can't express to you enough how important this will be to business owners. Any other takeaways, anything else you'd like to mention before we go?
Sure. I think it's business owners, as we all know it, spend a significant amount of time building their business and the value behind it. And it's always important, like anything and everything that we do, is having a plan. And part of that is making sure you have an overall exit strategy, as I mentioned. And in order to come up with an exit strategy, you need to have an evaluation and also the right team to be behind it and help you as to what you ultimately want to be the outcome. And we here at Hightower, again, we can assist in the process of helping business owners meet those specific long-term goals and objectives and help them walk through the parts of it and educating them to get them to the level of exit or valuation.
Well, once again, Roman Ciosek, thank you so much. This has been an extraordinary broadcast and with a bunch of revelations. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
It is always a pleasure.
HighTower Westchester is a group of investment professionals registered with HighTower Securities, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC, and with HighTower Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor with the SEC. Securities are offered through HighTower Securities, LLC. Advisory services are offered through HighTower Advisors, LLC. This is not an offer to buy or sell securities. No investment process is free of risk, and there is no guarantee that the investment process or the investment opportunities referenced herein will be profitable. Past performance is not indicative of current or future performance and is not a guarantee. The investment opportunities referenced herein may not be suitable for all investors. All data and information referenced herein are from sources believed to be reliable. Any opinions, news, research, analyses, prices, or other information contained in this research is provided as a general market commentary. It does not constitute investment advice. Hightower Westchester and Hightower shall not in any way be liable for claims and make no expressed or implied representations or warranties as to the accuracy or completeness of the data and other information, or for statements or errors contained in or omissions from the obtained data and information referenced herein. The data and information are provided as of the date referenced. Such data and information are subject to change without notice. This podcast was created for informational purposes only. The opinions expressed are solely those of Hightower Westchester and do not represent those of HighTower Advisors, LLC, or any of its affiliates. HighTower Advisors do not provide tax or legal advice. This material was not intended or written to be used or presented to any entity as tax advice or tax information. Tax laws vary based on the client's individual circumstances and can change at any time without notice. Clients are urged to consult their tax or legal advisor before establishing a retirement plan.